Here's the scenario. We have this tall, 88-inch tall Ikea cabinet that's 24 inches in depth. This one is full depth, 24 inches. And what we want to do is take another one of these and make it shorter. We want it to be 21 inches depth for a different application here in this other room. We don't want the cabinets to stick out as far. So how do you take a 24-inch deep cabinet and have it end up as 21? So we're going to do 21 inches deep after the door is installed. So we're going to do 20 3/8 depth on the cabinet. And that'll match this other floor cabinet that I've modified. I've made it shorter and shallower and attached it to the ceiling to use as a laundry chute. So clothes will dump out here. But how do you do this easily? And that's what we'll do next. You're going to need a table saw to make the cuts on the pieces you need. Obviously, there's some of the safety equipment on this saw has been removed. Nobody in their right mind would ever use a saw like this, so you shouldn't either. Now these pieces are 24 1/16 if you measure it from the there's that extra little tooth there for the back part, but the saw guide will hit that, so you got to count that in. So 24 1/16, I want to end up with 20 3/8. So we're going to need to take off about 3 11/16 from the back side. Make sure we're lining up the back side. You're going to want the good side facing up using the table saw, because it'll leave a nice edge on that side. You don't really have to use tape or anything like that. At least you shouldn't. So this is my nice good side. I want that up. Let's see how we do here. Ended up with a decent edge there, and it's 20 3/8, pretty much exactly. I'm going to do another cut on the top piece. This is either the top or the bottom. Then we're going to move on to the long side pieces. Obviously, it'd be nice to have a friend help you with some of the bigger side pieces, but they're still doable. Just want to make sure you're cutting off the back side, which is pretty easy to figure out because it's the side that has that lip on it for the back piece. Next step is going to be to recreate the recessed edge that was on the piece that you cut off. So what I've done is I've set the table saw up so the blade's just as high as this line here, and my guide is very close to the blade. You don't want it so close that it's actually going to hit the blade. And then you got to think about it a little bit. Make sure you're doing the right side, the right edge. That's the piece I cut off. I want this side down. Let's see how this works. And that does a pretty good job of recreating that edge. So it'll be easier to nail on that back cover panel. And you want to do that for all 4 pieces. Now it's just a matter of laying the pieces out and assembling them according to the instructions. Now obviously in the parts you cut off, have the holes where these little guys go. So what I'm going to do, this cabinet, the back sides are not going to be visible anyway, so I'm just going to use screws instead of these, so the screw heads will be visible. But if you really wanted to get fancy, you could use the piece you cut off as a template and clamp it to your new edge, and then use these same holes as a guide. It's going to be a 5/8 drill bit. You just want to make sure the depth isn't too much. You'll go all the way through this piece, your template. You'll drill all the way through that. And then you just get the hole started on the next piece just to figure out where it is. Now in this case, I got this hole in the way, so it really wouldn't work anyway. But if you were cutting it off much shorter, you'd have a perfect guide, perfect template made out of the piece you cut off. But in this case, I'm not going to do that, so I'm just going to assemble it normally as much as I can. So I've got the cabinet pretty much put together. Again, we were able to use the standard hardware down on this side, but on this back side, it's going to be a little loose because I wasn't able to join these together. Now this is not going to be visible at all, so all I'm going to do is just drive some screws in here. I've got number 6 1.5" screws. They look big enough to me, and I've got a 3/32 inch drill bit to drill pilot holes. So we'll see how that works. Looks like it's going to be fine. I did forget to mention a couple of things. Obviously the shelves in there had to be cut because they were too long. And there's always something. It would have been easier to drill the holes for these before I put the cabinet together. I was able to get the drill in there to drill the pilot holes for these brackets, these mounting brackets for the top side. It would have been easier before I'd put it all together, but you know, it's always something. Well, it isn't perfect, but there it is, a 20 3/8 inch depth Akurum cabinet now. I probably should have had somebody help me hold those side pieces when I was cutting the back groove because they weren't exactly perfect, so I had to do a little chiseling, but all in all, it worked out pretty well. Now the fun part of putting the legs on and manipulating it into place.